Hi, welcome back to Chinky Juice channel. So today I'm going to watch Why Are Indians So Successful in the USA. It's from an American YouTuber, Benjamin Jenks. I think he's traveling around India, and there must be a lot of reasons why Indians have been have chosen to move to another country because of the skills, and also because of the welfare, because of the lifestyle that they prefer seeing in other countries. Let's say in the US, in Canada, there are a lot of Indians. So let's have a look together about why are the Indians so successful in the USA especially.
Did you know that Indian immigrants in the USA are making 100 grand a year as their median household income? Indians got that money, bling bling.
Oh my God.
That is crazy. The median income for Americans is only $55,000. And for other similar immigrant populations, let's say the Chinese,
wow,
they're making $70,000. So Indians are just crushing it in the USA.
Well, I don't get to know that Indians are actually earning the most out of all nationalities.
Indians are like a tiny little immigrant population, 1% of the population, yet 8% of CEOs of huge companies are Indian. And the figure is even higher with smaller little startups. I think there's 1/3 or 16% in that range. I saw two numbers of these little startups have Indian founders. Indians also make more money than people who have the same education as them. They make more money than people who are in the same position as them.
Wow.
And they have a higher rate.
Actually, Indians are very, very smart.
So it has...
I don't know. Or probably the smart one has chosen to leave the country.
Are they just lucky? Are they very hardworking? What is going on that Indians have such a significantly higher rate of success in the US than other groups? Now, maybe you're never going to go over to America if you're an Indian viewer, or maybe you're an American, you're like, you know what, I'd rather go live in India, baby, like me. However, it does have me wondering.
So he is actually living in India.
To be so successful, and maybe you and I can learn from that. So let's take a look at the factors.
6 reasons Indians are successful in the USA.
Here in beautiful India, it is sunset here. We got a nice little sun setting over there. But I want to go through 6 factors as to what I'm seeing as to reasons why Indians could be so successful in the USA. So let's take a look. Number 1, humility. Now in the past, and I think there's a standard that we think of for a leader or of a big company or a CEO. Someone like a Steve Jobs who's extremely outgoing and personable and talkative. However, there's a growing trend in Silicon Valley companies to have a CEO who is very competent and also humble. And this is the first trait we're looking at. Because when we look at some of these...
Humbleness, it's a kind of trait that it's not usually appear in a CEO because most of them, they're quite aggressive, I would say.
Pepsi-Cola is one of the top 10 most humble US CEOs. How did they figure that out? I don't know how they got that, but she's mentioned. Also, Nitin Naraya, the dean of Harvard Business School, he recently put out a very humble apology earlier this year about apologizing for how the institution has treated women. The CEOs at Microsoft and Nokia are also known for their vast achievements, yet they're also often talked about as being very humble. I saw a cool quote by Najib Berman in an article which may explain why this is. He says, given our strong emphasis on family and social relationships, Indian leaders work very effectively in groups with humility.
I think Indians work better in large group, definitely, instead of independently, because of the background, how they grow up, and the family structure. Perseverance.
Now, the first wave of Indian immigrants came to the USA in the 1960s. Second wave came in the 1980s. And if you're going through looking at these CEOs, one common trait that you're seeing, they've worked at these companies for over a decade at least. The Microsoft CEO, Satya Nadella, worked at Microsoft for over 2 decades. Sundar Pichai worked at Google since 2004. Indra Nooyi worked at Pepsi since 1994. So sticking.
Wow. Everyone has been stuck to the same company for such a long period of time.
Perseverance has been huge as well. Even on, let's say, YouTube or my blog, Chai Nomad, which you should check out if you're looking for Indian travel tips. You know, I started that a year and a half ago, have written 120 articles, and it took months and months for the traffic to start to build. And it's still sort of growing. I still have a lot more work to do to make these things into more of a success. You might have had similar experiences in your own life. Third thing is people skills. Now, I'm currently, before bed, I've been reading this book, can't see that maybe, Quiet by Susan Cain though. It basically talks about introversion and how being quiet is actually a strength. In America, being extroverted, being very social, being able to communicate, having a large...
I think most American, they are extremely like sociable. Like they are not afraid to talk to strangers, and they're very comfortable with any of the social like groups.
Arguing their point, are they persuasive? A lot of reason people get a job is because in a job interview, they're able to convince someone that they're going to be good at this job. Now in other cultures, let's say for instance, China, they have a totally opposite approach. Speaking up in class isn't something that's factored into the grade. Your work is factored into the grade.
Yeah, in China, that's true. People don't have a lot of discussions. Mostly your essay define your ultimate performance.
Things that English fluency, networking skills, and the ability to negotiate is why they lag behind the Indians. Andrew Yen says, Chinese students are often excellent academic researchers, but lack soft skills, which is a major obstacle when it comes to competing with Westerners and even Indians in the overseas job market. Chinese students are not as open as Americans, Europeans, or Indians, and Indians are very active. They know well how to negotiate and how to persuade people. This sort of leads...
Is it because like Indians also do a lot of negotiations on a cost when they're buying some stuff in the market?
Largest English-speaking country in the world. There are 125 million English speakers over here. Whereas a Chinese, a Japanese, or a Korean immigrant is less likely to feel comfortable
that's true.
In English.
I think I don't see a problem like speaking English to anyone in India because a lot of English terms that they actually use it in your daily life.
Speaking English can be so important. Another one that I'm kind of curious about getting your input on is what about the influence of the family members on the students or on the kids? Now, it's a stereotype that Indian parents are much more strict than American parents. Is that true? Let me know in the comments if you're...
I think it's much stricter.
Strict.
A lot of mommy boys, I would say. Because they stay with the family, so most of the rules are set by their parents that the kids have to listen no matter how old they are.
A big priority for me to have a lot of money. My parents let me choose whatever I wanted to do. They put zero pressure on me.
Yeah, I think the things about American parents is like, they leave you alone. After 17, you do your own way. You have your own way to do your own stuff. Whatever work that you're feeling that you are comfortable with, you go for it.
It was far higher than, say, the Americans, who only 20% said they wanted their child to have a successful career. It was higher than other ethnicities as well. It also seems like from other statistics, Indian parents did put pressure on their children to be successful. And hey, maybe this is one of the reasons why they're so successful. 91% of Indian parents aspire for their kids to get a college degree, whereas in the US, only 31% want them to get a college degree. That doesn't seem that good, actually. That's not great. But before we get to the final and most important reason, here's a word from our sponsor. If you like this video and want to see more, please click the like button.
So cute.
This leads me into my final point, which is having a college degree. 77% of Indian Americans have a college degree, 40% have a graduate degree. these numbers are far higher than other immigrant populations. And as we saw, Americans as
Wow, it's the leading one.
these reasons, or one of these factors, is the H-1B visa. Now, this is a visa in America that brings in highly skilled workers, and Indians get way more of these than other populations. They got 56% of all of them in 2011, I think, and
Wow.
we're seeing similar numbers in other years. Now, one source for some of the stats that I found was a book called The Other 1% Indians in America. And the author wraps up how Indians have been able to be so successful in America by saying this: there's no secret sauce. There are no peculiar maybe I can't speak English. There are no peculiarly.
Oh my god, it's so hard.
They came very carefully selected. They were not coming from poverty. The simplest policy prescription may be this: make sure everyone has access to education.
Oh, that is so important.
It's our parents, you know, if you're an Indian, apparently more than American, but even I heard it, get a degree. It's one of the easiest ways to be more successful.
I think what he has been saying is so important actually for a lot of like data statistics that he has tried to put it on table. Like I'm sure that he has done a lot of homework that I really appreciate that to come up with these factors which brought like Indians into such a successful stage in their life in the US, in a foreign country. But I think one of the key things that he has mentioned is so important about educations. It's not like a lot of soft skills, a lot of personality is like it can be varied among people, even you're coming from the same country. But most importantly is like you have factors, you have get your educations in order for you to climb into another social circle, and in order for you to access knowledge that you have to communicate with people, to acquire your skills so that you can get your H-1B visa in other country. So I'm so impressed by how the Indians do it, and I'm sure that there will be more and more like migrants like from like India to US. Or actually before I also read that like Indian like Bangalore gonna be another Silicon Valley in India. So probably there will be more people coming back as well. I think it depends on how the economic go like from countries to countries and the personal life choice that everyone holds. So like very interesting topic, and that's it for today. Shalom.